sign of relationships. So most of your Libra men are usually seeking out happy, healthy, functioning relationships. They're ruled by the planet Venus, which means that they're incredibly charming and they're usually very beautiful people. When it comes to love, romance, and dating, Libra men are often very in demand. The reason for this is because many times a Libra man is able to offer that ideal relationship that many women so dearly seek. Libra men are the perfect relationship guys. So do you have your eyes set on a Libra man and you would like to know how to attract him? The first thing to do if you want to get the attention of a Libra man is to find out what it is he is good at. Most Libra men will have something that they specialize in. They'll have something that they're incredibly passionate about. Find out what this thing is that he is incredibly passionate about and ask him about it. Ask him advice about the specific thing. When a Libra man feels like he is needed and somebody wants to listen to his opinion and what he has to say, when he feels like somebody wants to take his advice, it makes him feel incredibly good about himself. If you want to make sure that he's constantly going to engage with you, make sure that you're consistently asking him advice about the things that he's incredibly well educated and versed in. The thing is, do not approach a Libra man and expect him to agree with everything that you have to say. Yes, Libra is a sign that is known to be agreeable. However, when it comes to what Libra men believe in, they aren't very agreeable. They can be very agreeable when it comes to wanting to make the person that they love happy. But when it comes to their actual values and their beliefs, they won't hold back and become agreeable. They're actually very good at standing their ground in whatever it is they believe in. It can often seem like a Libra man is arguing with you and is disagreeing with you when he doesn't see eye to eye with the way that you see things, but he's actually just having a friendly debate with you. Libra men love to vocalize and talk about their passions and their beliefs. When a Libra man disagrees with you, it doesn't mean that there's any bad blood or anything like that. It just means that it's an opportunity for him to talk about his passion and his beliefs and to debate it with you. Libra men aren't the most stable people out there. The one moment your Libra guy can be incredibly happy and charming, the next moment he can be incredibly grumpy and sulky. The reason for this is because Libra is the sign of the scales. Libra men are trying very hard to balance their scales all the time. They try really hard to keep their grumpy and their pessimistic moods at bay. And they're trying very hard to be charming, to be personable, and to be likable to everyone they're dealing with. But very often this pressure that they put onto themselves to balance these scales all the time and to appear so incredibly charming to people gets overwhelming. And eventually it becomes very difficult for them to be so perfect and for them to control themselves all the time, and they just give in to their grumpy mood. Libra men are so incredibly charming that once he sets his eyes on you and he starts to charm you, it's very difficult to forget about him. There's two types of Libra men out there. The first type of Libra is the Libra who is highly flirtatious to everyone he meets. This is a Libra who will charm the socks off everyone. It's difficult to know whether you are actually the person that he truly loves and that he's truly after, because this specific type of Libra is likely flirting with everyone and charming everyone. The second type of Libra is the type of Libra who is highly relationship orientated. This is a Libra who sets his eyes on one object of affection and he pursues this person with everything that he is. If the second type of Libra has his eyes set on you, it is unlikely that he is going to have eyes for anyone else. However, because the first type of Libra exists, the one who basically flirts with everybody, it is very difficult for people to often trust Libra men. When a Libra man has his eyes locked on the object of his affection, he will try everything within his power to charm the socks off of that person. Even if that person wants to leave, even if that person wants nothing to do with them, they will try some type of tactics to get that person to like them, to get that person to really, really be charmed by them. Libra men are the best at this. It's actually very difficult to say no to a Libra man when he actually turns on his charm and he's approaching you with this charm. Libra men are incredibly good with their mouths and they're highly good with words, and very often when they land up in tricky situations or arguments, or even when the person that they love wants to leave them. They're incredibly good at using words to change this person's mind. They can charm themselves in and out of any situation that they want to. Libra men can be incredibly confusing because the one moment they're this incredibly charming, sweet, personable person, and then the next moment they're incredibly grumpy and rude. The thing is, when they are grumpy and rude to you, you'll get angry at them, but then when they turn back to their charming selves again, they're so incredibly charming and sweet that you forget how rude they were towards you. A Libra man can be very rude to you and he can insult you and hurt you, but then when he's in a better mood later on, he can turn on that charm and you'll melt inside and you'll completely forget about all those things he just said to you. Usually you don't win an argument with a Libra. What usually happens is you argue with them and then eventually they give you these sweet puppy eyes and this charming smile and they turn up that level of charm again, and then you completely forget about the argument and that you were mad at them in the first place. This is the tactic that Libras use to win arguments. They don't actually fight such as what an Aries would in order to win an argument. They just use their charm to persuade you to stop arguing with them. So I'm going to be totally straight with all of you. Your average Libra man is a real Casanova. Your average Libra man does turn on the charm to practically everyone he meets because he is seeking the perfect ideal mate. The only way for him to find this perfect ideal mate is to experiment with all the people that he meets, is to experiment with everybody and to see, is this possibly my mate? Is this possibly the person I can spend the rest of my life with? Although Libra men are so highly charming, and although it might feel like you have everything in the world when he has you in his clutches and he has you and he's charming you, but very quickly he can realize that you are not what he wants. You are not what he's after, and he can change his mind and pursue something else and completely forget about you. This is the exact reason why Libra men can often be so hated in the zodiac and they're called players, because they're constantly pursuing the ideal perfect mate and they're often playing around with many different people on this journey to find the ideal mate. The thing is, they won't settle for anything less than perfect. They won't settle for anything less than what they believe is the ideal mate. They might break many hearts in this process of finding the ideal mate, but this is unfortunately what Libra men do. Do not expect a Libra man to stick to his word. Do not expect a Libra man to make up his mind about one thing and stick to it, because a Libra man can very quickly change his mind and go in a completely different direction as to what he thought he might wanted to go in the first place. When this Libra man changes his mind and he goes in this different direction, there's absolutely nothing you can do within your power to get him back, to get him to come back into your direction. It can be incredibly confusing for people when they're involved with a Libra man and he makes all the promises in the world to this person. He tells this person, you're my one and only. I will be with you forever. I won't have eyes for anyone else. But then a week later, he breaks these promises and he's with another person who is making the exact same promises too. It's important to bear in mind that he's not trying to deliberately hurt you through doing this. A Libra man just follows his heart, and he will go wherever his heart leads him, even if it means that he sometimes needs to break other people's hearts. His heart is incredibly strong, his heart is incredibly powerful, and it leads him to where he has to be. A Libra man's heart will usually lead him to the right person, and no other people can distract him from being with that person that he's actually meant to be with. He will know when he meets that right person, when he finds that right person. Very often, a Libra man can make so many promises to all these other people that they're with, even though they know that this is not the right person. And then they break their hearts when they do find the right person and they move on to that person. But it's just important to bear in mind that a Libra man does not do this with any harmful intentions. A Libra man is literally just following their heart, and they're also just trying to not create any conflict and drama in the process. Don't ever expect a Libra man to stick to his word, because a Libra man can very quickly change his mind. A Libra man can easily promise you the world in a relationship or in a business situation, or whatever the case may be, but then the next day he goes a completely different direction and changes his mind. It's important with a Libra man to never listen to their words, to never listen to the charm that they're putting on, but to observe their actions, because their actions will be exactly what you need to look at. Their actions will show you where their heart's at. Their actions will show you whether he's invested in you or not. A Libra man can very easily tell you, I'm sorry if I hurt you, but you're my everything and you mean the world to me, but then their actions don't prove that. So if you want to know if a Libra man truly, truly loves you, is look at his actions. If he is showing you his love through his actions and he's not just saying it, that is when you know that you are actually the right one for him. A Libra man will promise the world and he will charm the socks off of so many people through his words, verbally, but he will never act on the things that he's promising those people unless it's the person he really wants to be with. When he finds the person he really wants to be with, he will actually act on every single promise that he actually makes verbally. Libra men have this secret weapon for getting their way, for getting what they want, and it is their smile. No matter how mad a person is at them, no matter what situation they're in, if they turn on that Libran smile, everyone's hearts melt and the Libra gets their way. Libra guys and Libra men are usually the ones who get the girl. They're usually the ones who get the pretty girl that they've got their eyes set on, or they're the guys who are constantly dating all the beautiful hot girls. It's very rare that somebody will turn down a Libra. A Libra man can most likely flirt with and pursue anyone he wants to, and he will succeed at it. But the only thing is, very often for a Libra man, the excitement is in the chase. So if he is chasing someone and it's easy to get them, he will very quickly get bored with them and chase someone else who's a bit more difficult to get. If a Libra man is not actually able to get someone, it will drive him crazy. Because for a Libra man, it is so easy to get any person that he actually wants. When he is unable to get someone, he can often become very obsessed with that person that he's unable to get. A Libra man wants somebody who is incredibly special and incredibly rare. And the thing is, if it's easy to be with someone, if it's easy to enter a relationship with someone, that person is not necessarily special. That person is not necessarily rare. A Libra man knows that the person that is truly special to him will be a person that will challenge him, will be a person that won't be so easy to actually get into a relationship with. Libra men are the one zodiac sign that will likely pursue romance or partnerships their entire life, no matter which age they are. Even when they're in kindergarten or when they're in their old age homes, they will still pursue love and romance with just as much vigor as they did in their adult lives. However, it is important to mention that if a Libra man does have a lot of first house or Aries placements in his chart, he might not be that caught up with relationships and he might not care about relationships at all. Libra men with strong Aries or first house energy are the types who are incredibly charming, but they're usually alone. They're usually the types who prefer to do their own thing and not be held down. Many Libra men notice that they're so incredibly charming and that it's so easily to win over the affection of people in their lives. So very often they become these players who become romantically involved with numerous people, and they end up in these very complicated situations because they've involved themselves intimately with various people, whereas they should have actually just been a little bit more selective. If a Libra guy has been stringing you along, he will likely not flat out say to you that he's not interested if he's not interested. He'll probably just start talking to you less and less and give you less attention, but he'll never outright say, sorry, I'm not interested in you anymore, because he doesn't want to hurt your feelings. A Libra man typically assesses most women that he comes into contact with to see if she could potentially be the one, if she could potentially be his potential future wife or his soulmate. This is why a Libra man invests so much time into the people that he meets, and he becomes so charming because he is actually trying to figure out if it could work. But over time, when he spends time with people, he realizes things about these people that will cause him to not be happy in relationships. But once he's realized this, he's already turned on the charm and he's already charmed the socks off this person. This person already thinks that this Libra man is into them, but actually he was just checking if things might work. He was just checking if it could work out. In some Libra males' lives, there will be a woman that they will find that they are incredibly enamored with and that they love more than anything. Usually they'll pour everything that they are into this relationship, and when it does not work out, this Libra man will be hurt, bruised, and changed forever. This Libra man will find it very difficult to actually find another person who can compare to that love that he once had. He will still seek out love and romance, but he will know that nothing that he can experience with anyone else will ever compare to that one ultimate love that he once had. If a Libra man has had one love in his life that he was entirely enamored with, it can be very, very difficult to get him to be totally enamored with you, because this person will still remain in the back of his mind forever. Very often, Libra men can end up in relationships with incredibly powerful and manipulative women. What will happen is he will meet this woman and he'll charm her just as what he charms every single woman that he meets. And because this woman thinks she's special, she starts using control tactics and power tactics over this Libra man to get him to stay with her, to get him to stay in a relationship with her and attached to her. When a Libra man ends up in a relationship like this, where a woman is manipulating him and trying to control him to stay with her, he will become incredibly unhappy, especially if this is not the woman who he actually wants to be with. But because Libra men do have very soft hearts, they'll feel incredibly guilty leaving this situation. So they can often actually stay in a situation like that for a very long time. Libra is a very interesting sign because Libra is a sign that is between Virgo and Scorpio. Virgo is a sign that restricts themselves when it comes to dealing with other people. Virgos actually do not know how to engage and deal with other people in many circumstances. Scorpio, on the other hand, is a sign that represents the most deepest, ultimate connection with another human being that you can possibly imagine. Now, Libra comes between these two, and this basically means that Libra has a side to them that is a very big loner, that wants to be free, that wants to pursue their own things, that wants to focus on what they want to focus on. They can be highly intellectual. But then there's also a side to them that wants to connect more than anything in this world. Because Libras have this dual personality, whereas one side of them is somewhat of a loner that needs a lot of space, but another side of them needs a lot of connection, they can be like a walking enigma. It can be very tricky to actually figure out what this person's all about, what it is that they really want. And because of this, Libra men are consistently contradicting themselves. Because Libra is the sign that comes before Scorpio, Libra still has a lot to learn when it comes to seeing what's beneath the surface, seeing what's really happening. Many astrologers say that Libra is a highly superficial sign. They're not necessarily superficial, however, Libra tends to mainly focus on that which they can see, on that which is presented to them, and they do not really look deeper. They do not really investigate further. For this reason, many Libra people often suppress their emotions and they never actually deal with their emotions because they never actually put any thoughts and effort into dealing with their emotions. Their focus is mainly on what they can see and what is presented to them, and very often Libra men do not healthily deal with their emotions and they suppress it. They want to give this image of being happy, of being beautiful and charming, and that they have this perfect life. And they will avoid all the issues and troubles that they're actually facing. One thing I've noticed about Libra men is very often, it doesn't happen in every single case, but men who have strong Libra imprints in their charts have a very dark side to them that they suppress. This dark side that they are suppressing rarely comes out, but when they're unable to actually control themselves and to keep full control over their conscious mind, the side comes out. So for example, my stepfather was a Libra and he was always highly agreeable. He always did everything that everybody wanted. He always made sure that everybody was happy and considered. But then when he would drink, he would turn incredibly violent and he would become incredibly rude and angry and toxic. All his thoughts and feelings that he has been suppressing in his waking life will come out. This happens very often with Libra men, where it's very dangerous for them to drink, or they can often become highly violent in certain situations because there's a lot of things they're suppressing within their waking life, because they're permanently trying to give this image of being put together and being charming. They won't let anybody realize that there is something wrong with them. And they're consistently suppressing this side. However, this side does come out in really bad forms sometimes. Most Libra men are really bad with their money. Most Libra men do not actually save, and they spend their money lavishly without planning and without budgeting. Libra men are incredibly generous and they're incredibly giving, but what ends up happening is when they do have money, they give all their money to other people, or they spend it on things that will make their relationships better. And then once they've spent all their money on others, they're broke. Or they can spend all their money on socializing and going out. Your typical male Libra will usually have a handful or two of friends in their life that they spend a lot of time on. Libra men are very, very popular. However, they usually only have a few select people that they keep in their close friend group, and they likely spend most of their time with those people. It can actually be very difficult to enter this friend group and become friends with a Libra because Libras are so highly selective about who they are friends with. They usually only want to surround themselves with highly successful, intellectual, and creative people. If you do not fit this bill, you will likely not become part of his daily social life. Libra men are usually very happy and comfortable at home, and they love to entertain people at home and to have people in their home space. You might think that Libra men are highly outgoing and highly sociable and they love crowds and parties, but actually they prefer to socialize with people intimately in their home space as opposed to being in large crowds or at parties. Libra men can actually become very quiet and introverted when they are in crowds, and you can often think that you did something wrong or that there's something wrong with them, but actually they just feel incredibly uncomfortable in these settings. So this is my video on Libra men. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see some more astrology and spirituality content. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this video, and check out the link to my Patreon below if you'd like to support this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.